start the show then. In a bid to ease a common man's stressful life, insurance regulator IRDAI has asked insurers to cover pre-existing diseases, be it age-related problems or mental illnesses. All diseases will now be covered under your policy. Let's get in Soumya Sharma for more on the changes that the regulator has brought in. Soumya, tell us, how does our life change after the changes which have been suggested by IRDAI for health insurance plans?
Well, clearly, Karunya, these health insurance products are definitely underpenetrated in market, and as a result, we have IRDAI this time around, coming out with guidelines for health insurance. So, like you said, as per IRDAI order, insurers are asked to cover pre-existing diseases if disclosed, and these should be detected at least 48 hours before the policy date. Now, what are the products and illnesses that have been actually taken into coverage? These includes artificial life maintenance, internal congenital diseases, and age-related macular degeneration, puberty and menopause-related disorders, and finally mental illness, which have been these are the illnesses which have been covered recently as per IRDAI order. Not just this, this is also making it easier for the consumers and the clients, given the fact that these health insurance can be paid on a monthly and a quarterly basis. The distribution channels have been widened, given the fact now that these will be easily available. The distribution has been widened. The digital payment mode has also been enabled for these products, and it is easier to modify and bring about certain modifications in the policy, given the fact that previously these had to be approved by the regulator themselves, but now with the new policy and the new norms, these can be certified by the internal committee. So this definitely is making life easier for the customers and the clients, and the fact that IRDAI is actually making a lot of efforts in order to push these insurance products, which are little complex to understand, for the betterment of the entire population.
All right, thanks Soumya for that. Definitely our life becomes much more comfortable, much more assuring now that we know that a whole host of other diseases are now going to be included in our health insurance plans, and a lot of diseases that which one may have had from before will also now be included. Let's talk a little bit more about that and also understand what exactly does it mean for the viewers, for the consumers out there. Tapan Singhel, the MD CEO, is joining us. He's from Bajaj Allianz General Insurance. Mr. Singhel, thank you so much for taking time out and chatting with us. Let's understand, pre-existing disease. What is it and how has it changed if you now add your pre-existing diseases? Tell us, how do these modifications affect the common man, affect the Aam Aadmi?
So if I look at typically pre-existing diseases is an exclusion insurance policy, simply because otherwise whenever somebody falls ill, they could just walk up, buy a policy and get admitted, and the insurance company pays. Now this cannot work as a business model. So pre-existing diseases which were there with the customer, they were already excluded from the policy. Now the problem was, since people felt that there should be an exclusion, and if they don't declare and later on it is there, it can get away with it. So quite a few people were not declaring it, and they would give a clean proposal form. Now the problem for them was, when a claim would happen, the insurance companies would try to see as to how the claim is and what is it, and then they would come to know that the disease was already existing, and then they would repeat the claim. Now this is where the grievance would start. Now here what is happening is, if the customer declares the pre-existing disease, then after 48 months, they can be covered. So it brings in greater transparency. It brings in clarity of that okay, this is declared, and it brings in better underwriting from insurance companies, and this makes the whole process very transparent. I think that is why it's a very, very good move. And I think and in the past also, the customer, which I would use your medium to request, is they should always declare whatever is the risk or whatever is the disease that they have. It is very good for them, because tomorrow if something goes wrong, on that basis, they cannot be declined a claim. Otherwise, insurance is a matter of good faith, where declaration has to happen from the customer side. So this is what has been simplified here. A clarity that if it's declared and insurance company underwrite it, then it gets covered up to 48 months, on a very clear basis. I think it's a very, very good move.
Very well then. But Mr. Singhel, these minor modifications, how do they affect the customer who has already purchased the policy, or who is likely to now do it going forward?
Yeah, it's always good from a customer perspective that you should be able to, I think, somehow the way we look at insurance policies is that it gets sold and then we forget about it. In reality, let's say a simple thing like your sum insured of your health policy, which you may have taken about 3-4 years back, or let's say a 3 lakh sum insured was very good. But today with medical inflation, that also becomes very, very less. So one, the customer should keep on reviewing his policy at least annually to see what would be right for him. And second, as changes happen, there would be minor modification coming to the policy, which should be there. The customer should know engage with the insurer, and that is how it should be done. So it's always very good for the customer, because earlier, for even simple small modification, the insurer had to refile the product with the regulator, and that would take its own time. Or let us say if there has been good claim ratio and the insurance company wants to decrease the premium or increase the premium for a bad claim ratio overall for the policy, they would have to again go back to the regulator. I think they have made all this very, very simple now, and a lot of onus is on the insurance company to ensure that they run it more transparently and on a very good speed. So the delay and the wastage not happen.
Mrs. Singhel, insurance companies have been barred from excluding illnesses associated with hazardous work activity, artificial life maintenance, treatment of a mental illness as well, and also age-related degeneration and internal congenital diseases. What is your sense of a whole host of changes that have been made and the inclusions now that the insurers have to factor in?
Yeah, so if you look at it, I think insurance company, not part as an insurance company, like we already had that cover. Quite a few insurance companies would be having that cover. What IRDAI is saying is that they should be covering these illnesses, because these are becoming big issues across, and they require treatment and they require good care. See, the beauty of holding a health policy is that if things go wrong, you can get treated by the best hospital and by the best doctor, because you can afford it because of the policy that you have. Now, if you look at these illnesses, they are on the rise today, and they are very, very critical for a person. So if he has got a good cover for it, he can get treated by the best hospital, best doctor, which is very, very critical. So I think it again is something which is very customer friendly, and I'm very happy to see this move by the regulator.
Okay, let's talk about the pricing. How will that change now? Will this change affect your pricing? Will there be an increase in premiums that the customer should expect now?
So as I mentioned that I already have that cover, as an insurance company, Bajaj Allianz has these covers. So if you look at it, it is not that something which goes exponential. I read it about this in the newspaper that people say that that this may lead to increase in price. But if you look at even if it does lead to increase in price, you have the EMI facility. You can pay your premium now in monthly, and quarterly and yearly basis. So it is not that suddenly it's going to be a huge jump which is going to come through on that basis. But if you don't have these covers, and if this is the rise, and you look at the statistics which is there across, then do you think it would be good to exclude that? I think it's good to include it, and if it leads to certain premium increase, I think it's good for overall as a customer. So I would see it from that perspective.
All right, Mrs. Singhel, it was very insightful catching up with you and getting to know about a host of other developments that the consumers can expect and how this changes the overall picture of health insurance business. Thank you so much once again for joining us. With that, we're going to slip into a short commercial break. We have plenty more on the other side, so stay tuned.